Most traders, they think they have a strategy problem, but they don't. They have an emotional problem. And the advice everyone usually gives is you need to control your emotions, you need to be disciplined, and you shouldn't be trading emotionally. But what if I told you that's actually making things worse? Because when you try to control an emotion, you end up treating it like the enemy, right? You push it down, you suppress it, and you end up forcing your way through the trading session. And it might work for a while until it doesn't, right? You end up blowing the whole week. And that's not a discipline failure. That's just a suppression that ends up catching up to you, right? So here's the reframe that I want to give you that's going to change everything. So stay with me because what I'm about to share is really powerful stuff that's actually going to make a huge difference in your trading. Right? So first you need to understand that your emotions, they're not enemies, right? They're data. So every single thing that you feel at the charts is just your nervous system trying to tell you something. So for example, fear before an entry is telling you your position size might be too large, or frustration after a loss could be telling you that your expectations were off before you even got into the trade, or euphoria after a win could be telling you that your ego just got involved. So the signal is always useful, but the problem is that you've been taught to mute it instead of actually read and understand it. So there's two things I want you to take away from this video. The first is called emotional polarity. And what this is basically every emotion you feel exists on a spectrum. And on the other end of that spectrum right now is its equal and opposite. So fear and confidence, they're not two different things necessarily. They're two ends of the same axis, right? So think about it this way. Say you enter a trade because your system said go. Then 20 minutes later, it's down 1% or 1.5%, and your stomach begins to drop, right? I'm sure you've all felt this at some point. Most traders, they begin already reaching for the exit button, right? But what's also true in that same exact moment is your entry was valid, your stop loss was placed correctly, and your system has an edge that you've verified. And that right there, that is real confidence, right? Real legitimate confidence. And it sits right next to the fear. You're just not looking at it at that moment in time. But when you can hold both at the same time, the fear and the confidence, this is when something powerful begins to shift. The emotional charge, it begins to drop. Not because you forced it down, but because you balanced it with what was already there, right? That is what we call emotional polarity. Now, the second tool that I want to give you is what makes this actually practical, right? It's called the Neutrality Practice, and it has 3 steps. Step 1 is catch and name. So at the moment you feel an emotion activate, just stop. Don't suppress it, don't act on it, just name it out loud. So you could say, I am feeling fear right now. That's it, 6 words. What this does neurologically is it shifts your brain from the amygdala, which is the reactive part, to the prefrontal cortex, which is the part that actually thinks, right? You then create a gap between the feeling and the decision. And this gap is where the real magic happens. Now, step 2 is called find the other side. So once you've named it, ask yourself this. What is the equal and opposite truth in this situation right now? Not a silver lining, the actual other half of the picture. So if you're feeling fear, where is the genuine confidence? Is it your preparation, your system, your edge? Or if you're feeling frustration after a loss, you can ask yourself, what did this loss teach you that a winner couldn't have taught you? Keep going until you actually feel the charge begin to shift, right? Not until you've written something that sounds good, but until you actually begin to feel it. Now step 3 is act from center. So once the charge has dropped and both sides of the situation are visible to you, you're now in a state of emotional equilibrium. And this is the prime state that we want to be at when we're in front of the charts. So now you only have to ask yourself one more question, which is what does my system say to do right now? Not the fear, not the ego. What does the system say? And then just do that cleanly. The whole thing takes about 5 minutes or so, and you'll notice within 30 days it becomes sort of automatic. You'll end up trading without even realizing that you're doing this, right? And that's when it becomes really powerful, and you're going to notice a huge shift in your trading. So to bring this all together, stop trying to control your emotions because you can't force your way to consistency. That just ends up burning you out every single time, right? So instead, start reading your emotions as data. Use emotional polarity to find the other side of whatever it is you're feeling, and then use the neutrality practice to get back into emotional equilibrium before you make your next move. The best traders in the world, they are not emotionless, right? They feel everything. They're just balanced. And that balance, not the suppression, is where the actual secret is. So if you got some value from this video, please hit that subscribe button. I put out new trading psychology content every week. And drop a comment and let me know which emotion is the one you feel affecting you most in trading right now. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.